Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Help Me See. 2025 has not let up. It's February 25th, and yeah, my year just keeps getting crazier and crazier. How about you? Trying to catch your breath lately? I've had illness and ENT appointments and hearing loss appointments from a virus that traveled to my ear and decided to stay forever. And I've had brain MRIs to further investigate said hearing loss. And oh my goodness, just so much stuff. Just so much stuff. And I keep waiting to catch my breath and be able to get back to creation mode, my favorite place to be. And in that waiting to catch my breath and also just complete lack of physical and emotional energy, there is this default mode that I can slip into. And that is what I wrote about today. If you want to read the whole thing, I wrote this episode. I'm still trying to figure out the flow of that. It's like sometimes I voice record first and then create a post after, and sometimes I just write and then I'll talk about it and surmise it. So if you're interested in this, head to my Substack and you could subscribe. The visual podcast episodes are always free. And if you're a paid subscriber, you automatically get the monthly Nostalgia Now templates, the photographic journaling templates that guide you in self-inquiry, paired with looking at the last month's worth of photos you've taken of your life to help excavate and live intentionally. So you can find the link in the show notes there. So today I'm talking about when I can't be with myself or what is, I turn to repetition. And what I mean by that is I listen to the same music all of the time. I watch the same shows over and over and over again. I habitually default to reading instead of writing or doing something more active. And when I was thinking about, many people do this, and of course I'm not trying to shame myself. It is a mode of comfort and relaxation. What is that honking? Literally never heard a train go by in my life. But of course, when I hit record after a month of not recording, that's when the train goes by. So I started questioning, why do I listen to the same song over and over again? Is it because they're saying something I wish I could? Is it because it's making me feel something I can't muster up for myself? Is it because I'm looking for permission to feel something that I haven't even let myself acknowledge? Do I watch the same old shows over and over again because I want to feel comforted by the familiar without actually having to participate? Oh, that feeling of if you're out to dinner and you're hearing someone's awkward conversation and you're like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to participate in this. Oh my God. You feel your life force being sucked out of your body just being next to it. Also with the shows, watching the same shows over and over again, is it because I feel braced for what I know occurs and I don't have to feel it fresh because I won't allow space for something I don't already know? And even preferring to read over write. If I read instead of actually writing, I can feel like I'm in that world without actually having to do the work of it, right? If I read about other people's thoughts on life and philosophy that I resonate with, then I can be relieved that I'm not alone and lessen my compulsion to have to articulate it myself. So it's kind of It's a comfort that dulls the sharpness when life can feel like too much. And there's always a time and place for that. But I think I got to the point where I wanted to write about it because the repetitive overconsumption led to repetitive undercreation. And I just got so used to not creating. But that builds. Like, you can't bullshit yourself in that way. Like, there's only so long that the numbing and the autopilot mode helps before it starts making it feel worse. And because I more recently have opened up this can of worms around my photography practice and how I feel like the camera in hand has become a way that I bullshit myself sometimes. You know, it's my greatest, most sophisticated enabler, becomes a way where I can see instead of look, right? Look versus see. I always think about looking as very surface level, cursory, but seeing something feels like I'm penetrating in a way. Like I'm like, I see through what is happening, and it feels more visceral and deeper. But then it feels like at some point I'm confusing seeing for feeling. And it's something that can't be easily recognized, but something that is utterly life altering. The difference between the two. And all of this, even this conversation, just feels like so much. And I want to dog ear it, right? I'm like, okay, highlight it or fold the corner of the page over, close the book, table it for now, take a break. Whew. Copy and paste that experience about 1,000,000 times. It feels like I'm more obsessed with deconstructing picture taking than I am actually taking pictures. And I think it's because there's an effortlessness with the picture taking and the deconstructing of the picture. It's like a compulsion, an obsession, something that I don't want to overthink, or something that I feel like is unnecessary, but it feels anything but unnecessary. It feels like the most necessary thing I could be doing. So I've been going back and forth with that for the last few months. I've gotten so good at bookmarking my emotions with photographs that I've built up an emotional to-do list too long to ever check off. That's what it feels like. Not so long ago, I wrote a note on Substack asking if anyone else feels led by the most intense restlessness that you cannot name, no matter how many words or pictures you use. And one beautiful stranger replied in agreement, and it felt like an exhale that I had been holding in my lungs for years. And I don't like feeling so relieved when somebody else can agree, right? Like, it's like, why do I need to connect to the world in this way? Why can I just be what I am without searching for some form of relationship, for some sort of relation in my personal emotional experience? I mean, yes, human nature, I feel like, is the answer, but of course I want to exclude myself from human nature and say, but I still don't want to need it. But can I see it better if someone else feels it too? Or maybe it can be more okay for me if someone feels it too? Or how about the worst one? Perhaps it's not a defect if it belongs to someone else. It's only a defect if it's mine and mine alone. This got me thinking about, like, why am I the only exception to my deepest belief in unconditional love and acceptance of what is, unless what is me. Me being uninspired or distracted or unproductive or inarticulate, or me not being helpful. What happens then? Well, I think more often than not, I can't be with that. I choose not to be with that. So I turn to repetition. Zach Bryan, Lana Del Rey, Keenan O'Meara. I listen to those songs again and again and again. The Office, Seinfeld, Gilmore Girls, again and again and again. Another Mark Nickbo book, another Rilke book, some Julia Cameron, some Anna Eastman. Again and again and again. Repetition is beautiful. It is needed. It can comfort us. It can embolden us and empower us. And it can also numb us. You know, those well-grooved neural pathways are there for a reason. It's because we do that emotional, spiritual, physical habit day in and day out. So it's a very easy slip and slide. I almost always feel this undertone of melancholy. I almost always feel a restless discontent. I always sit dreadfully ergonomically incorrect. In fact, my neck is already tight from this. These patterns are home, but not the home I want to live in anymore. But all my shit is there. All the furniture, all the comforts, everything I know. And it takes too much energy to move out. But I don't think the point is about moving out either. I think it's plugging the energy leaks in our world to be able to restore ourselves to the point where we have the energy to renovate what's going on internally. You know, I grew up in Florida and I never knew anything different. I was miserable. Like, I'm a really pale, freckly person, and that Florida sun was not my friend. When I moved to San Francisco, I finally felt in my bones like, good to be in California. It felt good to be in California. But even traveling to the other side of the country, I still felt this restlessness. And it's because it's not the place I'm in or the people I'm around. It's me. This weird perpetual feeling of homesickness and restlessness and discontent is me, in me. It isn't me, but it's inside of me. It is inside those well-grooved neural pathways. Recently, I read a post by Xavier Dagba. He is on Substack. He is incredible. I love reading his work. And it felt like a warm and knowing hug in this lifelong unsettling feeling. He said, people are rarely stuck because they don't know what to do. They very often are because they are too energetically scattered, fragmented, and emotionally under-resourced to act on what they already know. Energetically scattered, fragmented, and emotionally under-resourced. Check, check, check. I am always looking for a tangible sense of home. And it feels like it's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And that is because when I am everywhere, I am nowhere. I don't think it's a coincidence that the only time that feeling has ever gone away is when I'm creating. Because what's happening when I'm creating? Photographing, writing, making. Visceral presence. What happens in presence? Energetically focused. You feel whole. You feel emotional freedom and flow. I love those old songs and those shows and those books. But I want to sing and live and write. This afternoon I have my first ever singing lesson in an hour, actually. And I'm a little nervous, but it feels really good to actually do something that has no plan or reason other than I've just always wanted to use my voice in this way, and I can't understand why I've never pursued it. And I wonder what happens. What if this becomes a new pattern? Opting for energetic and personal freedom without a plan or a vision, without logic or reason. Maybe I'm knocking down a wall in the living room of the paradigm I've been living in my whole life. And it already feels more spacious. So, my invitation to you: where does your energy feel boundless and almost always available? What are you doing? What are you feeling? Where are you? When do you feel inexplicably whole? Complete? Full? And when is your heart and soul full and free and light and love? Use that as your vision board, your GPS, your renovation plans. I would love to hear what you find. See you next time.
This has been an Awkward Sage production.